Hello and welcome to day 2 of the PeopleSoft Innovation Summit. We're here today with Oracle presenting driving business transformation through a move and improve to the cloud. Just a few housekeeping notes. Everyone is on mute. The session is being recorded and will be posted to the registration landing page for free sometime next week. The session today will be 60 minutes with a short Q&A, so feel free to ask questions in the question section of your control panel. With that, I'd like to turn things over to Craig to begin today's presentation. Craig?
Thanks, appreciate it. And good afternoon, or I guess good morning, depending on your location. My name's Craig Mikus, and I lead the PeopleSoft on the Cloud Architect team for Oracle in North America. Before I start, I just want to say thanks to everybody. I know everybody's really busy, but I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit in on our session. So I hope hopefully you find it informative. I'm joined by some of my team members who are going to hear from later. I got Chris Hildrum and Mega and Sarah Lepowski going to be manning the chat. So like I said, you'll be hearing more from them as we go on. For the next 60 minutes, we're going to be focusing on how you can transform and modernize your business, right, by moving your PeopleSoft apps to the Oracle Cloud, right? And we'll use the acronym OCI, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So if we hear, that acronym, we're talking about our cloud infrastructure. Quick note, as of today, we've got over 200 customers that are running PeopleSoft in the cloud, and that's more than any other cloud vendor. So very exciting, and it's growing every month. A few quick comments. A few years ago, our discussions were really focused on why the cloud. Today, most companies already have a cloud strategy. They're already using, a cloud vendor, be it AWS or Google or Oracle. Azure, and all good clouds, right? But the key to realize is that, and I want to highlight that not all the clouds are the same, right? Every one of them was purpose-built for a specific reason. And like I said, they're all really good and they serve that purpose. Oracle's purpose is really to run Oracle workloads better than any cloud. All right, when I say Oracle workloads, I'm talking about our applications, our database, and we call it Oracle on Oracle. So we may reference that throughout the presentation as well. And the other thing I just want to mention is that, we live in a multi-cloud world, right? There's no getting around that. As each cloud has its purpose, when you start peeling back the onions, each cloud does something different and does it really well. But as I said, Oracle on Oracle is kind of our tagline. So even if you have a cloud-first strategy, right, there's no doubt everybody's going to be using a multi-cloud vendor approach down the road. So for today, instead of why the cloud, right, we're going to really focus on why Oracle to run your PeopleSoft applications, and why now, right, and the benefits that you're going to get. Mega, can you change the slide? Okay, so real quickly, as far as the agenda, we're going to focus on take a few minutes and talk about some context around business transformation, right? Why move to the cloud? Why now? And then I'm going to jump into what I call the Wheel of Fortune. Hopefully, some of you folks were on the keynote yesterday, and I gave a pretty quick flyby in terms of this slide. But we're going to start drilling down into it, and throughout the presentation, we're going to share customer stories. We're going to do demos. Right? And the one thing I really want us to focus on, or at least to understand as far as a key takeaway, is that the Oracle on Oracle running, PeopleSoft in our cloud is going to enable you to really two things: to enrich and enhance your PeopleSoft, experience. And then we're going to wrap it up with some Q&A. So if you do have some questions, please put them into the chat. We do have Sarah who's monitoring the chat, and we'll take some breaks during the presentation. And then we hopefully have some time at the end to take some additional questions that you may have. So Mega, can you change the slide? So let me start with business transformation, right? It seems to be a buzz phrase for today, or in some cases, maybe an oxymoron, but all too often, there's a disconnect between companies, right? Between their business and their IT, right? And it's not always on purpose, but there's a gap between, what the business wants and what IT can deliver, right? The business, for the most part, they want the shiny new toys, right? They want to do new things. And unfortunately, they want it yesterday, right? They want, as you can see on the right, they want new innovations, some big ticket items like, new business models, right? Or new user experiences, revenue streams, right? That tends to be the goal of the business, right? IT, on the other hand, typically has its hands tied, right? They're stuck with old, antiquated systems, systems that they may not even need or want, and there's really not much that they can do with that, right? So the IT professionals tend to spend more time trying to maintain these old systems and keep them up and running, and they're stuck doing things, the old way. So when companies don't change or transform, they end up in two places, right? And I like to call it the top left quadrant, the hope zone. Businesses want, they want those shiny toys, they want the new things, but they can't get it, right? And if IT doesn't have the technology or the systems or the skills to meet the business needs and the time frames that they wanted, right, they're gonna be stuck in that hope zone. And they never really, reach their potential or their goals. It's all about new things, old ways, right? On the flip side, you have some businesses, that want the status quo. They don't want to change, the business as usual. They like their old toys, right? They have their old processes, old systems. IT, still can't change, and I kind of consider that they're in the graveyard zone. They're stuck with old things, old ways, and sooner or later, things are not going to go well for them. So, fortunately, there is a solution, right? And that solution out there is called the cloud. So, from a business perspective, the goals don't change, right? They still want their shiny toys, and they want to do new things, and they want to do it, faster, and drive, better business. But now IT can be the catalyst, right? Now IT has the shiny new toys, their own toys to do things new ways, right? Do things better, do things faster, do things cheaper, right? Through automation and scale and agility and performance and everything that the cloud gives you. So what customers are looking to do, at least the ones that are progressive, they want to move into this transformation zone, start doing new things, new ways. So Megha, you want to change the slide real quick? So the key point to emphasize, right? The goal is not just to move to the right? Not just to move to new infrastructure, right? Where it's the hardware and the compute power and the storage. It's all important. Don't get me wrong, but you want to be able to move right and move up, right? The goal is you need to move to automate and to modernize, right? Or move and modernize so you can start doing new things, new ways. So over the next 55 minutes, that's really what we're going to focus on. We're going to show you how that you can move right and up, and as we like to say, move and modernize. So, and the beauty is still keeping your PeopleSoft applications that right? Less disruption. You can move it. You don't have to move to SaaS. You have options. So with that, let's change the slide and let's jump into the Wheel of Fortune. So as I said, hopefully if you attended the keynote yesterday, I did a flyby on this, right? Real quickly went through around how you can add value to your PeopleSoft, environments. And I really like this slide because it lets us really talk about all these cool innovations at the platform level. Right? When I say platform level, I'm talking about the Iaas, the infrastructure piece, as well as the Paas layer. Right? It's key, and I want to make sure everybody understands. OCI, or the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, it's not just a platform to run your apps. PeopleSoft applications leverage many of the capabilities, many of the platform capabilities, in the apps themselves, right? And we're going to go through, we're going to talk about that in terms of the value. Now, as you can see, from the slide, right? PeopleSoft is at the center of the universe, and we're surrounding it by a bunch of these OCI, cloud services and infrastructure. And the two things I kind of want to reiterate, or just make sure I'm very clear. Moving to the cloud is more than just lifting and shifting, right? That's moving right? We want to move right, but we also want to move up, right? So as we go, as you start, moving and modernizing, right, you're able to innovate faster, and you're able to enhance and enrich that PeopleSoft experience, right? Keep that in mind as we go through the presentation. So let me jump into how does OCI let you innovate faster? Right, so let's start at the top, right? We're at 12 o'clock right now. We want to automate and drive operational efficiencies, right? We've built Oracle, when I say we, Oracle's built a ton of automation around lifecycle management that you only get with the Oracle Cloud. Right? You don't get it with any other cloud, only with Oracle. And that's kind of what I was saying, we're purpose-built. We're built to be able to run our applications better than anyone. Couple examples, right? We automate the patching and the upgrades. You don't have to do that anymore, right? We automate and we simplify the cloning. I was talking to a customer a couple weeks ago. They were saying it took them 1 to 2 weeks to clone an environment just for their testing. We can do that in less than an hour, right? And then when you want to tear it down, you can do it equally as fast. Auto scaling is one of the huge benefits of the cloud, right? You can auto scale your underlying infrastructure. You can scale it up. You can scale it out. If you need more compute power during the month, the month end processing, it's not a problem. The OCI allows you to auto scale based on the policies and rules that you set up. So with that, let me ask Chris, right? You out there, Chris?
I am here, Craig. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So what are you seeing in this area, and what are customers saying around the automation?
Well, the automation, Megan, why don't we jump to the next slide here? What we're there, and then the next one there, Megan, go to the next one. Customers are very excited about what the automation is. And currently I'm working with a bunch of customers or a handful of customers here to quantify some of these savings they're realizing based on the automation that we built into not only OCI, but into PeopleSoft itself. And what's exciting about this, Craig, is that no other customers have, or no other cloud companies have some of these capabilities that we have. Now, the reason I bring this up too is that it's a little near and dear to my heart because in a previous life, I managed all of the IT admins for Lawson Software on the old traditional ways of standing up environments, doing the patching, going through QA and testing. And we can only imagine running operating systems, platforms, OSs, the nightmare and the pain that that potentially would cause. But recently, right now, what we're seeing is as we look at these categories, we're starting to try to quantify some of these savings as we go through as based on what customers are seeing. And it's pretty impressive. Infrastructure goes without saying about efficiently automating it in the cloud. Lifecycle management with our automation tools, the PUM images, doing best practices. Can imagine upgrading people tools twice a year or patching that. That's pretty amazing to some of these customers. Resource optimization, the self-service capabilities are very, very important to a few customers I'm talking to now where they just want to get out of the way of the PeopleSoft team. And then on top of that, things you mentioned as it's going above and beyond, Craig, of just what is the cloud, just lifting and shifting, autonomous discussions we'll talk about later, chatbots, cost avoidance by using some of these new capabilities and replacing those outdated processes. So far, in totality as we continue, we're seeing on average 63% improvement. It's pretty impressive.
Awesome. So Megan, can you show us a demo of our cloud manager?
Absolutely, Craig. So let me switch on to my demo. And before I even start with, and this refreshes, so this is Cloud Manager, right? Which is an application which is sitting on one of our compute. And within a few clicks, you can get this application. It comes for free. Now, as soon as you log into this application, you see all these different tabs, right? Which says environment, management setting, manager setting, repository. Let's go to the environments first, because what we want is a place where you can monitor all of your environments, whether it's production, development, test, etc. You want a place where you can monitor. As you can see here, one of my environment has failed, but I can see what all is running. One has a stop, I have a stop, because you can stop your environment to save cost. And that's the best way to do, where you can stop all the tiers, whether it's your application, web, database tier, right from one click. And right from one click, you can even start it right from here, right? So I have my finance, I have my HCM environment up and running. Now I have a use case where I want to update my people tool or something, right? I don't want to do it on production. I want to take a clone of this so that I can see if my update works fine with my environment. All I have to do is click on this clone environment, give it a name, and click on clone. It's as simple as said. So you can see that this has two nodes, right? A full tier, because whole of my web application and database sitting on one tier. You have the option to set up or to have a blueprint of how your PeopleSoft is sitting on your environment, and I'll show that as well. But I click here, yes, and I have a clone of my environment. It takes around like 20 to 30 minutes, unlike the normal time where it takes 2 to 3 days to actually have a clone of your environment. So within a few clicks, I was able to have my test environment initiated, and in 20 or 30 minutes, this will be up and running. Now, like I said, the other cool feature is you can stop, right? You can also manage the note. If you want to add or delete any of the notes from your environment, you can do that. And you can also backup and restore. You can have a backup of your instance and you can restore it at any point of time. Now, in order to create an environment, it's super simple. All you have to do is, if I go back to my cloud manager, we have something called as a topology and a template. Topology is nothing but a blueprint. Remember how I showed that all of my tiers are sitting in full tier, which is one instance? This will let you to configure your environment for PeopleSoft, whether you want middle tier, app tier, database, sitting in different servers, what operating system, what shape, etc. So it defines your environment, right? PeopleSoft environment. This defines your OCI environment because you want a segregation of different product or different environment like production, dev test. You want it to be segregated in the networking aspect as well. So here you can define where is it sitting, which OCI VCN is it taking, is it sitting on, virtual cloud network I meant. Yeah, which VCN is it sitting on, or which compartment is it sitting on. Compartment is nothing but a segregation, logical segregation. So you can define all of your OCI aspects here, and then you go to the environment and simply create it. We also have lift and shift capability where you can lift your existing environment, which is sitting on-prem, and it lifts it up, push it as a DPK, which is deployment package, onto object storage, and then the shift utility will create an environment on cloud for you using that DPKs, right? Now, one cool thing that we have here is the repository. Remember how now we have to go to my Oracle support and download all these patches and updates? You no more have to do that. You can configure it right at the Cloud Manager. And this is where you can subscribe to these channels. So what these channels do, as you can see here, I've subscribed to HCM channel, finance channel. So the image that I use, it comes from the marketplace, and this particular place automatically downloads it for me. It doesn't even download the image, but all the patches and everything, all the recent releases that it has, it downloads it for me right here. So I don't have to manually go and check the updates. It does that automatically for me. So we have all these channels that you can subscribe to. And let me quickly show you, like if you have to update the people tool, right? So if I go here to my HCM channel, I go to details. So if I go to details, first of all, I can see a whole topology of how, okay, it's it will take some time, but I'll let it go. So here is where you can see more details about your environment, and this is where you can upgrade your people tool, right? You can, if 8.59 come in, you can upgrade it here, or you can apply a recent people tool patch right from here. It's 06, I can select 7, 8, 9, whatever. So I can and by clicking on update, I can update it right from here. So this is what Cloud Manager provides you.
That's awesome, Megan. So hopefully everybody saw an example of the automation that we've built in for you for the cloud, right? Our goal is to, when you move PeopleSoft to the Oracle Cloud, is to make your life easier. And as she just showed you, right? The patching, the upgrades, the cloning, right? What you used to take, days and weeks, right? Now you can do in hours. So, and remember, in the cloud, right, you pay for what you use. So, the faster you get things done, it's really going to translate into lower costs as well. So let's go back to this the Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to move on in the interest of time. Oh, go ahead, Craig.
Let me just talk a little bit on this one, Craig, and then we'll continue forward. So what you just saw there, the team just saw there on the plan on Mega using the Cloud Manager. But the idea is these are some of the initiatives, and this is a document out there that most of you know where it exists. But what we are doing around the initiatives here inside of PeopleSoft is we're continuing to improve that user interface, making you more productive, as you can see what Mega is doing, how that can help. Continuing to automate the lifecycle process to lower the cost of applying these patches and these features. Isolating some of the changes as you modify your application. Simplifying migration and administration. Again, enabling these technologies that we're talking about for PeopleSoft so that you can use the cloud infrastructure. With in essence time, we'll continue forward, but these are things that we're continuing to do, and you're starting to see it play out. So go ahead.
Cool. So let's go back to the wheel, and let's talk a little bit about building a modern user experiences, right? Enhancing right? What comes with PeopleSoft. The chatbot seems to be the rage of today. Right? The good news is that PeopleSoft delivers numerous pre-built chatbots out of the box, and I want everyone to realize that the chatbots, right, that the PeopleSoft applications and the engineers that build them, they're using the same OCI chatbot platform that we call the digital assistant. They're using the same platform to build their chatbots. So the beauty is that you also can use that same platform and start building your own chatbots, and it doesn't have to be just against PeopleSoft, environments, right? So think about this. How many in the audience have you sat on a phone, right, maybe for an hour just to talk to a customer, service representative, right? If so, the frustration. And if that's the case, chatbots are a great solution for you, not just against PeopleSoft, but against whatever business case or business use case that you have. So Chris, as I said, chatbots are a hot topic. What are you hearing from customers?
Sure, Craig. One customer I'm working with right now in the process of their implementing and moving forward with PeopleSoft and OCI, they're looking to provide that internal support to employees and managers in the PeopleSoft HCM. So they're seeing the value on automating answers to some of those basic repetitive questions by allowing them to free up some of those first-line help desk team to focus on some of the issues as they move to the cloud. I also think what's important is that in our recent PeopleSoft Innovators Insight Survey, I wanted to highlight some of the statistics of what was going on with Loyola University in Chicago, where they used the chatbots. And I don't know if you knew this, but the chatbots correctly answered 86% of the questions versus 74% correct answers by first-line human interactions. And so the idea behind that really is if we're trying to promote the same answer to the same question, these chatbots are becoming very valuable. The other thing that they stated too was that the chatbot gives people answers 24/7, where of course we don't always staff help desk that way. So they're seeing the value of that as we move forward.
That's awesome. Did you want to switch, Megan? Do you want to change?
Yeah, sure. So let me go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Demo then.
Yeah, let me go ahead and show a quick demo of the chatbot, right? So what I have here is a requisition chatbot. And remember, this is powered by Oracle Digital Assistants, which Craig and Chris are just talking about. We have the capability to integrate it right at our homepage. So I have this requisition chatbot. What it does is I say hi, and then it says, I can help you inquire on the status of your requisition. So remember how you have to always go to manage requisition and type in and search and all that? What I have to do is just within a few clicks, I just clicked here. I want to look at an item with my item ID, or I want to look at an item or the status of my requisition using the item description. I have these options here. I selected the first option. It asked me to select an item ID. So I selected an item ID. It asked me to enter the item ID. So I'll go ahead and enter it. Boom. I have the information within my request time. I know that my request state is approved, and I now know the status of my requisition. So it's as simple as said. It's just within a few clicks, I got to know my requisition status.
Excellent. Meg, I know you're doing a lot with chatbots with customers. Are any stories that you want to share quickly?
I'm glad, Craig, you asked, because you know what happened? I was stuck in Austin because of power outage, right, for 3 days. And I stay on my Fidelity app like every day. My phone network works everywhere except my house. So my network was so bad. I was trying to get into my Fidelity and I was trying to look at my accounts and I couldn't. And I got this message saying that due to severe weather and power outage, Fidelity is now, they are currently experiencing a longer time for the wait calls, right? So you can go into the chat. I just wanted to experiment with the chat and see how fast it works. If I can look at my account info right from the chat. And you know what? It was far, far quicker than actually accessing the app. And I was shocked because this was the first time I was using the chat feature in Fidelity. And guess what, Craig? This Fidelity chat app is from Oracle Digital Assistants. And I was so happy because I personally, being at the customer side, like being the one who is using the chatbot from the other side, had the experience of how easy it is to use the chatbot.
That's awesome. Right? Today, I mean, what we're seeing from our customers are chatbots are proving to save a lot of time and money, increasing the customer satisfaction, right? And we're leveraging our the digital assistants, as Megha just said. So, Chris, was there anything else that you wanted to add in terms of chatbots?
I think if we just jump to the next slide, I think what's important to note on this one is, excuse me, Megha, if you could jump to the next slide. As we talk about the chatbots, the idea that they're becoming much more common and we're all using them in everyday life. What we are doing today is deliver chatbots. You can see the list of skills that are out now. Again, each quarterly as patches and updates come out, the PM team is working on putting out more skills, as well as they're very easy for you to build yourself as a customer. So I think that's all I wanted to add there, Craig.
And the only thing I'll add too is that our chatbot platform, right, the Oracle Digital Assistants, it leverages the natural language processing, the NLP, and our machine learning built into the platform to provide that conversational interactions with the users. And it learns as it goes, right? And that's, as you said, I think you said it earlier, 87% accurate in terms of being able to answer the right question. So chatbots are definitely being, are a hot for a reason, and we're seeing a lot of traction with our customers. When we go back, or next slide, I think we'll get back to the the Wheel of Fortune. And the only other things I guess I wanted to highlight in terms of building the modern user interface is that as part of the platform, we provide you the low-code tools to build mobile apps and websites, drop and drag capabilities. Again, you're building out some of these user interactions in minutes, not days, right? And you don't have to be a developer, and you can build this stuff against PeopleSoft as well as against any of your data. So really investing a lot in terms of the platform and the ability to build these modern user experiences. And then also, if you want to be more of probably a developer perspective, we provide you all the capabilities to build cloud native applications, right, and capabilities. So if you want to start leveraging microservices architectures and deployment Kubernetes and even start leveraging some of these pre-built serverless functions that Oracle delivers, you absolutely can start building these cloud native applications, integrate them into PeopleSoft, and enhance what your business processes is. And at the same time, you can still obviously use your people tools, right, to build your extensions. So the good news is that you have choices. So let's jump to the analytics piece, right? Again, analytics seems to be a real hot spot, for companies. And before we actually jump into some of the things that we can do to extend, I want to take just a couple minutes and have Chris talk about some of the cool things that we're doing from the PeopleSoft perspective, right? Because we continue to invest, into PeopleSoft with the latest and greatest innovations as well. So, Chris, what do you want to share with the audience?
Yeah. Hey, next slide there, Megha, please. Yeah, I think what's important to note is as what PeopleSoft is continuing to, we're using Kibana as we move forward with some of the analytics. Kibana now is integrated into the PeopleSoft user interface, and it has been, I think, from the latest version. But the real value coming forward now is end users can use Kibana to run all sorts of valuable analytics and application data. It's a real easy to use interface. It's very intuitive, and the PeopleSoft role-based security is applied to this analytics, so that users don't have, can only have access to the data that they need to see, that they're allowed to see. So what also is important about this is that Kibana draws its data from the Elastic indexes rather than the transactional database. So this enables Kibana to provide much faster retrieval of the data for you to do these great visualizations as going forward. Our application teams are going to be delivering Kibana visualizations and dashboards in upcoming images, and they're going to continue to improve, as well as you can easily create your own dashboards as well. And think really of all this being delivered with your People Tools installation There's no additional cost or licensing or implementation. It is just there, and they're continuing to roll out each update. So I think it's a great testament to how we are able to build this visualization in the PeopleSoft space. Back to you, Craig.
Sure. Switch slides. Next slide, Mega. So I guess it's important for everyone to understand, right? We have a two-pronged approach when it comes to analytics and data visualizations. As Chris said, right, within PeopleSoft, we're providing some of the latest, greatest visualizations using some open source tools, and that's great from an application perspective. But at the same time, Oracle has a full suite of data warehousing types tools, and hopefully some of you guys out there are already using. But they're looking to improve upon them, the data integrator, the Golden Gate, the ETL capabilities to extract the data out of PeopleSoft into our autonomous data warehouse, right? That is our database for data warehousing type workloads with machine learning built in, for your access, and then being able to put some of the our analytics cloud service tool, right, OAC, on top of that for more advanced analytics and visualization. So, right, as you're looking to move further and further, to the enterprise-wide, warehousing and analytics, we provide that full suite as well. So, a couple notes I just want to mention in terms of the the machine learning. A couple of years ago, we bought a company called Data Science that focused on machine learning. Right, it's the same framework that you're starting to see the PeopleSoft developers who are building out predictive modeling inside of PeopleSoft itself. Right, so basically within PeopleSoft, you're going to be extracting data out of PeopleSoft into our data science platform, right, within the OCI platform, where you can then build and test your predictive models. Then you can publish them, and then access them from the PeopleSoft applications. We're just starting to scratch the surface around the machine learning, but you're starting to see the PeopleSoft developers, the PeopleSoft applications, being able to start leveraging more machine learning in the application. So it's real cool. I just wanted to mention that. Let me stop there for a quick second. Were there any questions from the chat? I'm kind of looking right now. I don't see anything. So, Sarah, any questions come up?
No, we're all good.
Okay, good. Again, if you have any questions, put them into the chat. We've got a couple folks that are monitoring, and if we can't answer them, we'll obviously try to get back with whatever answers we can. So let's kind of keep going, clockwise, right around 7 o'clock. Let me just mention briefly in terms of integration process automation. As you start moving and to the right, as you start moving your applications into the cloud, right, you really need to start looking at what your integration strategy is, right? And fortunately for Oracle, right, we offer, or Oracle integration, cloud. It's in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for your application, for application integration. So if you're looking at MuleSoft or Boomi, gives you a great opportunity to look at Oracle. And I should mention that, a lot of you are probably out there using some of the older integration technologies, some of the heavyweight SOA platforms, maybe even using our Fusion middleware. This is a good opportunity as you start looking at the cloud, start looking at your integration. Right? And it doesn't matter if it's PeopleSoft, EBS, if it's SAP, right, or even our SaaS apps. Really need to start thinking about integration at the same time you're looking to move your transactions and modernize that as well. And just to give you a little bit of a peek into the future, right, the PeopleSoft engineers are starting to work on an adapter framework to make it even easier to integrate in and out of PeopleSoft, leveraging and integrating with the PeopleSoft broker. So more to come on that, but we're investing heavily into the integration platform and obviously how that then works with PeopleSoft. And in addition to our application integration, I just want to mention quickly, part of that platform, we've got our process automation. Right, so you can build your own workflows, monitor activities, especially if you have business processes that go beyond PeopleSoft. Right, we offer a process automation tool, point and click, real visual. Happy to come in and love to come in and kind of show you guys what we're doing around that. And then we also have a partnership with some of the leading robotic process automation vendors. Right, that's some really cool stuff, especially if you've got some systems that don't expose APIs. You can leverage some of this robotic, process automation to meet some of those integration platforms. So let's kind of keep moving up. A couple more demos I want to show you, or at least we want to show you that I think are pretty cool, right? In terms of security, you know, and being able to observe what's going on and proactively manage. Just want to, I mean, between us and Appian, right? We pretty much can meet your end-to-end, you know, security needs, right? I mean, that's pretty much an obvious. What I want to show a little bit is OMC, which is our Oracle Management Cloud. Right, that's for advanced monitoring. We deliver pre-built, you know, specific plugins in our OMC, in our management cloud, so you can start managing the database tier, the app tier, the web server. So Meg, can you show real quickly just a glimpse of our management cloud?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So let me quickly go to Oracle Management Cloud, right? So like Craig said, Oracle Management Cloud is for monitoring, managing, and analyze your PeopleSoft workload. So we do have pre-built dashboards specifically for PeopleSoft. So I clicked on dashboard, and these are the existing dashboards. So you can see that we have pre-built dashboards for database, Golden Gate, integration cloud, etc., right? So we have for all of these services. Let's go specifically to PeopleSoft. So when I clicked on PeopleSoft monitoring dashboard, this is where I select my tier. So I am looking at my app 1 server. When I click on that, this is what I see. I see the application health of all of my tiers. So if I click on include infrastructure so entities, you can see that I can see the status of my application server, my PIA, process scheduler, WebLogic server. And if I click here, I can see the whole topology of how it is connected, how it is integrated, and what is up and what is down. You can see that I have some which shows red health, right? So I can monitor it right from here. So the good thing about Oracle Management Cloud is, and one that differentiates Oracle Management Cloud is, we monitor the whole tier, web, app, and database, unlike other applications which exist. For example, it's Splunk, which consider more on the log analytics, right? We have that as well, which I'll talk in a second. But this is how you see it. Quickly, let me go through these tabs. So you can see this, all these health, like top 4 open HTTP sessions, processing time. You can see your application server health when I click on here, and you can see your scheduler health when I click on here. So depending on what you want to see, you have these options here, right? If I want to create a dashboard specific to my use, all I have to do is click on the dashboard, click on create. I'll just give test, PeopleSoft. Let me just give 5 because I have done so many demos and I love doing this because it's so easy and it's so convenient to use, because you can see here we have all these widgets which is available, right? All I have to do is just drag and drop. So let me go ahead and select one of these. Let me see the top 5 alert counts. So if I see, I can see the alert which is happening for all of my servers, right? And I can see the status. Like this one was down since February 18th, so I can see all of my status right from here. And when it comes to alert, there is one thing that I want to show. We see all these alerts, right? And the cool thing about alert is, if I go to my one of the critical alerts, okay, I don't see all of it, but when I go through the alerts, I will be able to see, I will be able to even log it to a service request. And either I can redirect it to an email where, depending on which team is taking care of what service, they will be getting an email every time a server is down, or you can have a service request attached to your alert. Now, you know, this gives you the capability of when to update or when to provision, depending on, you know, when your servers goes down, and you can act as per. Even for the logs, we have something called as a log analytics, right? We also have default widgets right here. So if you can see that we have this selected, but if I click open, these are the default widgets for, if I click enter PeopleSoft, I can see all these default widgets for PeopleSoft. So if I click here, I can see all of the transactions which has happened between 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Right? So we have these log analytics as well, where you can analyze the log and you can analyze the whole tier from your dashboard.
That's awesome. And when, we know there's third-party, monitoring tools out there, but when you start putting it all together, right, you have a third-party monitoring tool sitting on top of PeopleSoft that might be sitting on top of another cloud vendor. All of a sudden you're starting to see multiple products and so forth versus that Oracle on Oracle that I talked about earlier. So I think the Oracle on Oracle from our perspective, especially as you start moving in the cloud, makes a lot of sense. Not to mention all the pre-built plugins that we're delivering, and we continuously, will deliver as we're building, future versions of PeopleSoft for our cloud. So I did want to mention or kind of bring up the data safe, right? It's the next generation security offered by, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. It protects your sensitive data, it provides risk assessments for your data, for your users. So Chris, share with us a little bit of information on the data safe, because it's new and I think it's really exciting, and this is probably one of the things that really have me excited about, from a security perspective.
Sure. Megan, can you hand over the presentation to me, please? All right, let's see if I am presenter. Hey, look at this. I think this is going to work. All right, everybody can see my screen, I believe. Craig, can you see this?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, let's talk about data safe.
Look at the Wheel of Fortune.
You're correct. And now we're looking at the data safe components, right?
Yep.
Data safe is a really exciting new technology that only Oracle has, especially within our cloud. And product management is currently working with us to deliver a PeopleSoft and data safe sensitive data templates as well. But data safe is an executive dashboard for all Oracle databases. It will help you meet compliance needs where data protection is a focus. And it's built off decades of experience that we have on the database realm. So there's a little bit of that marketing plug. But the idea behind here is what it really does is it provides us as a service for any database you have in the cloud. And there's these five different components. We talk about a security assessment, user assessment, activity auditing, data discovery. And I just don't want to spend a ton of time into the detail there as far as we can talk a little bit more about it, and then data masking. So the idea is what's going on with configurations, user accounts. Has there been any high-risk users, any high-risk activity? The idea of monitoring this activity for any unusual events. Data discovery, this is where we can define sensitive columns. And like I mentioned, this is where we're working with the PeopleSoft team. Data masking, I mean, that's a huge one when we look at doing development and development processes. How can we remove sensitive data so that we can use it for non-production use? So I think that's a real exciting thing. And what I'm going to do now is jump into a demo and show you how easy this is to use from a PeopleSoft perspective. Customers are excited about this because, like Craig was mentioning earlier, as we talk about the hope zone, a lot of customers I've been working for, the trend is Microsoft customers wanting to go to the cloud and taking their PeopleSoft environment to the cloud. And they're seeing the shortcomings of what the Microsoft environment brings, as well as the value of what the Oracle Cloud is bringing and things like data safe. So as we talk more, a common thing now, Craig, into the rest of the presentation is about one of my customers specifically stands out. The IT team came to me and says, Chris, we are a block to our application team. We need to get out of the way to let them innovate so that they can go do what they need to do, run the PeopleSoft environment, and we can provide and be an oversight and a governance model for them. So data safe is one area where we can work with them. And so let me show you how simple it is and how easy it is to take a database and register it with data safe and show you some of the information right out of the gate. So this is, again, the Oracle Cloud environment. And I'm going to jump in and show you when I jump down to the databases that I have here in this compartment. As you can see, I have 3. One of them I've removed. But here's like a PeopleSoft database. When you open up the database tab and you see it, what you're going to see right here is you see where it says view deregister. We're going to go back to that in just a minute, because I'm going to go to this. That one's already registered. And in the process of this demo, I'm going to go to this version 2. Look at this is not registered for data safe. This is, Craig, how easy it is to register this. I click on this. Do you want to register this database with data safe? Yep, I do. It'll go through its registration process. Very straightforward, very quick. Now, if I jump into here, this is the first one that was already registered. And I want to go view the information in here. as you can see, data safe will come up. It'll bring in, and this is the data safe screen. It fetches alerts, it fetches the data, etc. As we jump through and look at assessments, these are those 5 tabs I was mentioning earlier. There's a lot of different things here that we don't have time to get into, but I would like to eventually get into it. The idea behind this assessment is when we jump in here, we can start looking at different databases and view reports. One of the reports that one of this here is we're down here in the security assessment. I'm going to grab a database and bring up a comprehensive report. So what has just happened here? This database was registered. It was brought in. The Oracle went through the product, went through the actual database and did a quick assessment in generating this report. And so what we look here, here's what's showing up in this comprehensive. We have a bunch of what are these high risk areas? It summarizes the count of them. Where do we have? Looks like we have password issues, default password issues. We can go down here to the pass level, expired passwords, ones that meet parameters, all across the board, Craig. And so it's a really exciting tool where immediately you can jump in, take a database. Now, remember I mentioned earlier, I wanted to show you about where a database was registered. If I go back to this one too, it's already registered. So in the course of a few minutes, I've registered a database, I run through an assessment, and I'm able to drill down if I need to and understand what is going on in that database and where I may need to address it. So that's it from this perspective from the presentation, Craig. So I'll jump back over to our presentation.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Like I said, I'm real excited about it. And I know our customers are starting to really look into it. And as you said, working with product management right now, building specific templates for the PeopleSoft database so we can deliver that out of the box. And I think that's something that you're going to hear a lot, as we go forward. Again, I started off, but I'll just finish it again. Between Appsian and ourselves, we've got you covered, right, in terms of the security, making sure that, everything is always on, right, in terms of security, data at rest, data in transit. It's something that Oracle always, takes serious. I mean, our roots are in security. So in the interest of time, let's move to the autonomous, section, right? And hopefully everybody has heard about our autonomous capabilities, both our autonomous, our autonomous databases as well as the autonomous Linux. Some of the analysts, I guess, have said that it's probably some of the single greatest innovation coming out of Oracle, and it's a key differentiator for us in like the last decade. So we are very, very excited about autonomous. So Chris, talk to us a little bit about the autonomous story around PeopleSoft.
Sure, I think it's a great story. So being in, as I mentioned earlier, in my prior life of managing a Linux Unix environment team at Lawson Software, autonomous capabilities would have been a wonderful savior to the world of management. But so right now PeopleSoft does support the autonomous database, and it's continuing over the next few months, sooner rather than later, continuing to come out with more autonomous capabilities and certifications, etc. One customer in particular is looking at this that I'm working with, is very excited about. Now, as you can see on the screen here, we talk a little bit about the database, but also, which is to be certified soon, but it's out there to be used, is the autonomous Linux. Now, I don't know if the customer base understands the autonomous Linux. Autonomous Linux is used inside of Exadata, and what it is that we purchased a company called Ksplice a handful of years ago. And Ksplice allows you to do patching on the kernel without a reboot. It takes the kernel patches, applies it to the side, and make sure everything works, and then it allows it to put it back into production running. So for anybody on this call that has to go, hey, I need a new patch done, and you got to call IT, and then you got to schedule the reboot, and then you have to do it after hours, it just brings back nightmares and to my mind about how much time we had to spend doing patching. So think about the autonomous capabilities here again. The idea of patching a database, self-tuning, self-healing, self-running, patching security patches on the autonomous Linux. What that allows us to do is allows us to take these patches, allows us to take the environment, if there's any security patches coming out, automatically apply them to your running environments. And so the amount of time, Craig, that this will reduce is great. And we have customers that are, as they move and try to transform, this is another way where we can take some of the manual work that we do as a traditional IT model, and we can move it up to the cloud going forward, while also trying to be doing this correctly and it's a very significant move, and I'm very excited about it.
And that's awesome. I mean, when you think about it, two key words jump out at me, right? Autonomous and automation, right? So we talked a lot about the automation in terms of the patching and the cloning and the provision, you know, and the updates, right? But we also do provide those same, automation when it comes to the database and the OS level. So as you said, the tagline, you know, you'll hear self-driving, self-healing, self-repairing, right? It does it all with the help of machine learning, built-in automation. So very excited about where we're going with autonomous. And as you can see, we're integrating that with PeopleSoft, and only cloud vendor that offers anything around autonomous. So you're going to get all the benefits of what we're doing around autonomous by running PeopleSoft on top of that infrastructure. So I think we're getting towards the end. Let's just kind of wrap up, see if there's any last questions that folks may have. A couple key points I just want to make sure everybody is, remembers, right? Moving to the cloud, it's about doing new things, new ways, right? IT wants to be able to support all the great stuff that, the business wants, right? So moving to the cloud right now is kind of a no-brainer. Everybody is putting together that strategy, right? But it's not just lifting and shifting, right? It's moving and modernizing. So, with the, as we showed you with the Wheel of Fortune, right? The ability to modernize with chatbots and the analytics and the security that we showed you, and all the automation, right? That that we provide, I think is really going to move the customers into that modernization world, but still leverage the PeopleSoft that everybody loves. And the last thing is the Oracle on Oracle, right? Engineered to work together. I mean, our cloud, right? If there's one thing we focus on, the one thing we're going to be good at, and what is our purpose in life, right? It is to run our workloads, our databases, and our applications on our cloud better than anyone. And that's hopefully we were able to, in the last 55 minutes or so, kind of give you a glimpse into the benefits of running your PeopleSoft on the Oracle Cloud. So with that, let me just ask Chris or Meg, is there anything else you guys want to just finish up or add or comment on?
This is Chris, Craig. Thanks, Craig. I think my last comment would be is that one of the slides we showed at the beginning about how we're trying to reduce the effort and save on operational time, I hope that this showed people and how we're seeing that as well, as we are engineering this together. We're trying to make the lives of all of our admins, both IT and application admins, life much better.
Awesome.
Agree. Yeah, and I'll just like to say, Craig, like you said, right, it's no more about running PeopleSoft on any of the cloud or anywhere. It's about modernization and automation that can bring more value and more man hours in your company. So I feel we can definitely do that.
Excellent. Well, I guess next steps of folks out there, if you want to learn more, please, give us a call, right? Oracle, we'd love to come out, give you some, more demos. We'd love to talk to you more about your cloud strategy and how you can leverage PeopleSoft on our Oracle Cloud Infrastructure or OCI. Sarah, is there any questions on the chat? I don't see anything, so.
No, I don't see any questions either.
Okay. Well, let me just finish up by saying again, thanking everybody for joining us. I know you're real busy, and spending the hour with us, we really appreciate it. So with that, thanks everybody, and have a great day.
Thanks, Oracle team, for your session today. I'd like to thank and encourage everyone to go and visit Oracle on their website. If you have any questions, feel free to check them out online as well at oracle.com. Lastly, I'd like to mention that the PeopleSoft Innovation Summit, the next one, is being planned currently, and we'll be sending out a survey on Friday. We'd greatly appreciate your feedback on this week's event. I encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter so that you can be the first to learn about future events, and highly encourage you to join the official PeopleSoft Summit Slack, where our presenters and participants alike are all able to be found and communicate. The session, Build Better Fluid Solutions Faster, from Jim Marion, and that'll start in just about 15 minutes. We'll see you then.